I'm here because I am a roaring lion crying out righteousness. Mr. Engineer, bring up Tucker Carlson and Roger Stone. Y'all listen to this.
Roger Stone, thanks so much for coming on. You're the first person we thought of because this happened to you. And I remember people saying, well, Roger Stone's a troublemaker. It's okay if he's not allowed to defend himself and CNN can attack him, but he can't fight back. Maybe this will awaken people to how immoral this is.
Look, I think the idea that they might gag Donald Trump is really a testimony to his effectiveness as a counterpuncher. He's used social media and his interviews to very effectively question the falsity of these charges, question the political motivations and funding of District Attorney Alvin Bragg, and question the bias of this judge. But more importantly, not only do I think the gag order would be unconstitutional, nowhere does it say you lose your free speech rights if you're charged with a crime, but more importantly, it's election interference. He is a legal candidate for the 2024 Republican nomination. He's leading by closer to 40 points in the polls. And this is a very clear effort to try to break his momentum. You can see in the polls and in the money that he's raising that the stronger they hit him, the harder they hit him, the more his support grows. So I think canceling him now, gagging him now, is a reaction to the way he has rebounded and actually benefited from what is a naked partisan attack against him.
But to use the legal system to effect an attack like that is just beyond the pale in the beginning of the end. I remember when Judge Amy Berman Jackson, who's completely out of control, did this to you, and the pretext was, well, if you talk in your own defense in public, you could influence the jury. But she didn't gag CNN, which spent a year attacking you every day, or MSNBC or the New York Times. Like, this doesn't even make sense as a legal order.
Well, not only that, but she kept the gag order in my case in place after I was already convicted, after there was already a verdict. I would have gone to jail under a gag order if President Trump hadn't seen the unjustness and ridiculousness of the charges against me. By the way, there was never any evidence of Russian collusion, WikiLeaks collaboration, or any other crime, as Robert Mueller admitted in his final long redacted report. And those who say, well, the gag order would just be narrow, it would only relate to these charges are politically motivated. This is part of the campaign against Donald Trump.
Yeah, but if you can't speak in your own defense in public and only your critics have the freedom of speech, I mean, at that point, darkness has descended.
I think that we're all aware of the fact that possibly the judge that's looking at or presiding over, rather, the trial here in New York City with Alvin Bragg's indictment of Trump is considering putting a gag order on Trump. That is to say that he can't speak about the case. I'm not so sure that's going to happen. I think that Tucker has brought on Roger Stone because Amy Jackson Berman did gag Roger Stone. That boy couldn't say nothing during the time of his trial. And he was convicted too, by the way, and Trump pardoned him. And I'll have some similarities between Roger Stone's trial and the trial that we're going to face here, the 9 lawyers against the city of New York, the Mellon Bank. I'll have some more to deal with in terms of the similarities of the Roger Stone event. I'm working on that aspect along with learning legalese as we get prepared for what's going to happen. But I don't know that. I think that what will happen is this. Is that the judge, and I could be wrong on this one now, I don't have this as a word from the Lord, that the judge is probably going to let Trump say what he wants to say, and hoping that Trump will say something that would incriminate himself, will make his matter even, and would probably, in New York, the other thing I think that probably Alvin Bragg is depending on is that only 22% of people in the New York area, that's 1 out of every 5 person you would find would be a Republican here, or a conservative for that matter, and not necessarily a Trump conservative or a Trump Republican. 1 out of 5. And I think right here, that's in New York State. Right here in New York City, it may be 1 out of 10 would be a conservative or considered a Republican or a right-winger. But what I find happening more and more is that a large number of people are looking at the political beliefs that are going on right now in terms of New York City. It's very liberal, if you will, political positions. And the crime in New York, as No Jacket Jim Jordan is emphasizing, and they're ready to now not necessarily not remain as Democrats or independents, but they're ready now to shut down a lot of what the liberals and the liberal media is doing. So we'll see how all that develops as it moves along. But I am convinced that a lot of people think, well, let him say something, let him keep talking, and ultimately he's going to say something that's going to injure himself. And by the way, this is not Trump's only nightmare. He's got that one down there, Fannie Willis down there. With Trump got 3 Hamite people out there, 2 Hamite women, Fannie Willis, right, Letitia James, the Attorney General for the state of New York, and then they got Alvin Bragg, 3 of them, 3 Hamites running after Trump. And someone wrote me a question, I think some woman from out there in Ohio the other day, and they asked me, is this going to start a race war? I don't think so. But it's interesting. We're in the tribulation. That's the thing I think we ought to be mindful of that before we can go any further. All right, Mr. Engineer, take me to a break. When I come back, I'm going to talk to you about what happened down there while I was away. And this thing exploded down there in Nashville, Tennessee, trying to find out what Bob Jackson needed to clean up all that mess going on down there in Tennessee. These 2 representatives, actually 3 representatives, called the Tennessee 3. I'm going to let you hear my take on that when I get back. So hang tight. Don't go anywhere. I'll be right back.